Yeah, so I'd go into one of the biggest lessons that and principles that I abide by in my personal life that I think is very, very useful in this context as an entrepreneur myself, leading a couple of companies. Um, One of the things that really, really, really has made my life easy and has made my journey easy as an entrepreneur is a statement that says comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
That is, comparison is the thief of joy. I think that is one of my core messages as I move through the world.
Yes.
And I want us to talk a little bit about this message because just from your previous comments, that's exactly where the mental health conversation also comes into. And even back into, looking at the different types of content or creative content that is being out there. And so uh, the intention here is to look at why is comparison the thief of joy, and especially for you as an entrepreneur, and you could even relate it into the creative industry. I could give a few examples as well, but first, let me give you the first opportunity to go and just talking through comparison, the comparison dilemma, and how it takes off all of the joy in the work that you're doing.
The AfroPreneur Podcast, a podcast for African entrepreneurs, presents inspiring, innovative, and disruptive entrepreneurs from Africa as they share their lessons, insights, and learnings from their unique entrepreneurial ventures. I'll be your host. My name is Ogweno Stephen. Let's roll.
So I should maybe expound on.
Yeah, give us a bit of an expansion on how a bit of an expansion on how this comparison has really led to lack of joy and depression in a lot of creatives out there. Because as you mentioned, when it's your low season, you might be comparing yourself with people who are in their high season.
Yes.
So when it's your high season, you don't most of the time when you're in a high season,
You
don't compare yourself with people in the low season.
Yes.
It only happens when you're the one in the low season.
Yes.
And then you forget all of the accomplishments, all of the progress, all of the rewards that you've developed during your high season. And I think
during your low season.
Yeah, during your low season leading into the high season.
Yes.
And there's a few pathways we'll go into this, but first, that is the first part I want us to talk to when it comes to comparison being the thief of joy, and how comparison in the creative space leads to a lot of depression and anxiety and mental health issues.
So I think for me, it used to happen to me a lot, and I found ways of how to combat that. So back then, when it was maybe during my low season, I still have low seasons, but at the time back then when I had low seasons, and just like you've mentioned, I would forget. Not even forget. It's not a matter of forgetting, but you just like put everything aside. Your accomplishments now they don't matter. You start seeing yourself as inferior. If you have, let's say, if it's 10 or 20 accolades or whichever thing, you put that aside, and now your view of yourself diminishes. You understand? So you have something that is now known as inferiority complex, whereby view of self is diminished. Yet you are a giant. You get, but now you don't see yourself as this giant anymore. Actually, even a dwarf is even bigger than who you are at the time. So your view of self is so diminished. You start now, and that's when now this mental health complications start coming in, especially depression, anxiety, and all that. So what I devised and what has helped me up to now is I don't engage so much into social media. So for me, social media is a tool to showcase my work, but not to, be stuck there browsing this after that. So I developed a system whereby I know at certain times I can't be on social media or I can't be on any social media app. So let's say I would say maybe from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. that is, I can't be on social media at that time. After 9 all the way to let's say 3, no social media, 3 maybe to 4 social media kidogo. Then from there maybe till 7:30 to 8 I can engage in social media just a bit. So I developed a system whereby I'm not in social media throughout. And if I am in these apps, I am either looking at people's content that will inspire what I'm about to create, or I am putting out my work out there. So I'm posting maybe something that I've created. So it's either of the two. It's either now I'm looking for content that will inspire the next thing that I'm going to create, or I'm putting out my work at the time. Unlike before, whereby you maybe find yourself just scrolling on your phone from this hour to the next hour to the next hour, looking, oh, this person has done this one is doing this one is doing this. So this system has really helped me safeguard my mental health, knowing that I'm only competing with myself and I am happy where I am, but at the same time I am striving for more.
Yeah, and I think that sort of leads me to another caveat to this conversation. Comparison is a thief of joy. Is really, if you go back to the fundamentals, it's really also about understanding that even the world is developed in phases like that. There is winter where nothing happens, and then there is summer where everything happens, and there is day when the light is out and everything happens, and then there is night where not a lot happens. But the trick is to know that when you're, in the night or when you're in the winter, that is your time to prepare for the day.
Yes.
That's your time to develop your strategies, to improve on yourself, to look at where you might have not done it so well and then work on bettering it, so that when the day comes, you are ready again to take advantage of the day. The thing that happens that I find very interesting with this comparison dilemma is that because we compare ourselves during our low times with people during their high times, we waste all the time during this low time when we should have been working on other things and improving ourselves.
Yes.
And so when the next high time comes, we are not ready to take full advantage of that high season.
Yeah.
And if you can't take full advantage of the high season, you perform a percentage lower, and then you'll get back into your low season and then complain and compare, and then go into your high season, then reduce again. And by the time this has repeated itself a couple of times, you are constantly in the low season.
Sure.
Which takes us to something, I was just thinking through it now, takes us to something called the Maithya effect. And the Maithya effect is a statement in the book of Matthew in the Bible that says that the rich will always be richer and the poor will always be poorer. And I think part of this is linked with this conversation of comparison is the thief of joy. And richness is not necessarily material wealth. It's even richness of seasons. When is your high season, when is your low season? And so if you're not taking, the reason why the rich become richer is because when they have their low seasons, they are working so that they take full advantage of their high season when it comes again to improve.
Yeah.
And the reason why the poorer will continue to remain poorer is not that they don't have high seasons. Everybody has high seasons. If you just can't take full advantage of your high season, that is the time when if you don't take advantage of your high season, when the next low season comes, you are really on the losing track because you didn't take 110% advantage of the high season.
Yes.
So you lost. And then the next high season, no full advantage, you lost. And then you lost again. And then you continue losing.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that is something that was just going through my mind as we're looking at this statement of comparison being the thief of joy and what we might do.
Because there's this example I might give out. I remember the previous December. For me, it was a low season. And you see, people have this notion that, December, that is when you guys have a lot of work. It's nearing Christmas. So you
all
guys
the
are
weddings.
busy. All the weddings are in December. You guys. But you see, for me, I'm like, I haven't even received even a single booking. But now people have the notion that it's a very busy month for especially us photographers. So it was a low season for me, and it was so low to an extent that I went home. I traveled home early. So usually I would go maybe see my folks around mid-December, but this time I went 2nd December. I was in Mombasa. And I don't think many people knew, but I just disappeared and went to Mombasa. So when I was in Mombasa, I was strategizing because I remember we usually have, I don't know if I should call it a garden or a shamba. There is a small shamba that we have at the back of the house. So I think my mom has planted bananas, more so bananas there. So I usually go there. I just stand or sit and just get to meditate and all that. So at the time I was strategizing on projects, concepts. I was working and also manifesting because I was telling myself I'm hoping maybe this coming year I'll get maybe something that would require me to create these concepts for advertising. Because my mind was now manifesting advertising gigs, advertising. And remember, this was during my low season. So what I did, I think for me, like I've told you, I usually have ways to, I know at this certain time I'm on social media. There are times I actually even remove the apps. I delete the apps from my phone. So someone might think, you see, people see me post, they think that I'm online throughout, but that is the contrary. There are times I actually delete. Most of the times I freeze my apps. Even right now, if you check my phone, my apps are frozen. My WhatsApp is frozen. That's why you had to call for me to engage with you on WhatsApp, because that is what I do. My WhatsApp frozen, Instagram right now is frozen. Every other app is frozen. So when you need to engage with me, that's when I'll unfreeze and maybe, okay, I've seen what you wanted to communicate with me. So most of the times I'd maybe prefer conversations, phone call or text. But when you see you can't get me online because that means I've frozen my apps, that is the time that I do not want to be on social media. Maybe now I'm working on myself, I'm creating on greater concepts, or I am learning a new skill. Because let's say like right now I want to bring magic to video. Because I've been bringing magic to stills throughout the years. So right now I want to bring this magic now to moving images. Now this is videos and all that. So this is the best time for me. If let's say it's a low season for me, this would be the best time for me now to not only learn but also polish on that skill. So that now when my high season comes, and let's say if I'm working on this skill and I do, maybe I shoot a certain concept, I put it out there. You see now people would want to hire me for that particular thing because maybe they want, can you do this? But now for a certain ad, I want to advertise, let's say Gordon's. And I saw you do this with this, so we can do the same with the Gordon's ad. So the low season will be the perfect time, just like you have said, to work on yourself, to let the focus be you. Work on yourself, learn a new skill. If you have that skill, polish up on the skill and all that. Go out there, network and all that. Do personal projects, put them out there, so that now when the opportunity comes, you already had prepared for that. So December was that one of that seasons for me, whereby it was a very low season. I went home. I started, thinking of ways of how can I be better in this world of advertising and craft concepts that it will take years for someone to do what I have done. So when January just came like this, and I was getting calls, hey Steve, I want you. And that's when I did concepts now for Fanta with different influencers. So imagine December was,
and then back up.
So January, February, March, it was, you get. Then it reaches a point, then you go down again, you go up. So during this low, you do something that now to improve yourself, and also by improving yourself, of course, skills. How do your communication, if it's maybe you're lacking in communication, how can you communicate better? How maybe at that particular time you can also get to write emails, email proposals to brands. By brands, I mean also both personal brands and companies. So this is the time that you should, do the things that people get to do behind the scenes. The things that people don't know that are done. Oh, kumbe people send email proposals. Oh, okay, I didn't know of that. Oh, kumbe people DM so and so that now you get that particular, yes.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that this has been a very rich line of thought to go into, because I find it very useful, and sometimes I even also find myself slipping into the thief of joy, which is comparison. Comparing my low seasons with other people's high seasons,
and you forget that.
Yeah, and you forget that you are, you forget entirely that I actually have done this even bigger than this. Just that now, it's low season, and what I've learned, especially through observation of myself, when I catch myself comparing with other people, the skill that I've learned now is before the thing that used to happen when I was comparing myself with other people is having that inferiority complex, but also even feelings of envy would arise. Like, oh, they are so doing well and I'm not doing well, and what is happening? Right now, the thing that I've found is I still find myself from time to time comparing with other people, but the feelings that arise from that is feelings of pride and motivation and drive. Now, when I see other people in their high season, I'm super, super, super happy for them, and for myself, it gives me also a lot of energy and motivation to work on myself and improve myself, so that I can take full advantage of my high season when it comes. And I think it's a very useful skill, at least that I learned from myself, that others could also benefit from, is how do you rephrase? How do you rephrase the emotions and the perceptions that come to you when this thief of joy comes? And for me, the refreshing from feelings of inferiority to envy, refreshing that now to feelings of gratitude and joy for others, and also motivation for myself to keep it moving, is how I've also found as a useful framework to visualize that concept of comparison being the thief of joy.
Alright, thanks for listening, and that's a wrap for this episode. For more exciting episodes like this, don't forget to follow our podcast, the AfroPreneur Podcast, on all streaming sites, and visit our website at www.ogwenostephen.com. See you on the next one.